Chairman Meuser, who's done a lot of great work on this issue, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman, very much. And thank you certainly to our witnesses. The FTC reported $12.5 billion, which was reported in fraud losses last year. We, of course, know the real number is far higher. By the way, between 2021 and 2024, CBO reported scams and fraud was up 110% under the CFPB's oversight. So doubling down on failure is pretty much the last thing that we're going to do to solve this crisis. Fraud and scam roundtables have been held by our committees. Telecom companies have been invited in, tech platforms hosting teletown halls with community banks, working with our U.S. Attorney General's office as well as state Attorney General's offices. We've been working at it since the beginning of this Congress, and we are making progress, and we are as determined to fight this crisis situation as you folks clearly are. Ms. McCune, I'd like to start questioning with you. By the way, great testimony. Really appreciated what you had to say. From your experience, how effective is consumer education preventing scams before money ever leaves a customer's account?
Thank you for the question. We see this as an essential piece of how we're protecting our consumers. We absolutely have to have educated consumers because many times, as Mr. Rust has noted, there's so much shame involved in admitting that you've been scammed. That's one layer of the problem. The other is that these are, they call it social engineering for a reason, right? These are manipulations of people's vulnerabilities and the things that they worry most about. And so if we're in a position where they are not going to answer our questions, they're not going to tell us what's happening, the best tool we have, really, the very first tool has to be fundamental understanding and sophistication in consumers about the risks of fraud, and it's why we're really supportive of an all-of-government approach and a top-down consumer education movement, because we do really see it as the essential first step.
Yes, all of government, all of private sector, very, very holistic, and that is definitely the strategic plan. Mrs. Dempsey, as well, a great opening testimony. Thank you so much. When a customer walks into one of your branches after they've been deceived online, what options do you and other community banks realistically have to stop loss at that point?
Well, if they've already sent it, there's not a lot that we can do at that point. If it's been outside our bank and what we've done. To Ms. McCune as well, just the education, the ongoing education of trying to inform them before, of when they're coming in to get the money, of being bold enough. Like I mentioned, we've got really strong relationships with our customers, so we know them. So our tellers do an incredible job of really just asking questions. What are you doing with this? Why do you need to take this much out of the bank? And things of that nature. I know we've talked too about just an overall approach, and so I want to highlight, like with the ICBA, one thing we did with the U.S. Postal Inspection Service was to come up with an in-branch handout to give to consumers to educate them and to start a conversation on fraud and scams. And so hundreds of thousands of those have been given out at almost 1,000 banks. And so anything that we can do to bring attention to it and to stop it before it happens.
Thank you very much. Mr. McDade, as well, excellent testimony. How important would it be for social media platforms were required to verify advertisers and quickly remove scam ads once they've been reported? A number of you have referenced the Scam Act. The Scam Act will certainly be requiring this of social media companies with penalties that are appropriate. Go ahead, please.
I would say it's essential. The reality is these scams originate outside of our bank's control environment. Most of them, I believe there's a study out of Britain that said 80% of the scams that they were seeing in that country, they alleged came from Meta as a platform. So when you take a look at that, we need to do something in order to have correct accountability in those places. Okay, excellent. You know, I was in New York City. We visited BNY Mellon and JP Morgan's fraud and scam prevention centers, spending millions, if not with a B, billions, on tracking and preventing scams. Do you believe telecom providers and social media platforms are making the same level of investment to stop scams? Unfortunately, they're not. And while we do try to partner as well as we can with the telecoms and the social media, the reality is since they don't bear any of the liability, they don't bear the responsibility as far as they're concerned. We've actually reached out to the telecoms and asked them to have a This is a scam email alert on the phone, just like you get this is the spam. The truth of the matter is they're regulated for spam. They're not regulated for scams. And so we haven't gotten the response that we need.
Thank you. I'm almost out of time. Mr. Schuster, I had a question for you on what else regarding preventing scam calls and texts from reaching consumers in the first place, but I am out of time. Perhaps we can talk about that offline. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.